right, you ready to look at some MRIs? This is a patient that reports with some back. Let's be ultra clear. I'm not a radiologist. I am a physical therapist. And today we got an MRI of some back pain. 58-year-old male with back pain that hurts with standing. It hurts when he turns in bed. It hurts when he lays on his stomach. It hurts when he leans backwards. Everything feels better with flexion. So we already have a very good understanding about like what's going on in the back with all those functional symptoms. Open these up. I just want you to see as a patient like what it looks like. And you can already see at L3, L4, L4, L5. There's a lot of, I got more doc hair in my beard. Is that just a comfy? So you can see here and here. There it is. So L3, L4, pretty unhappy. The hardest part is he got injections at like an injection clinic. He was very good. I've met them and they gave L4, L5, L5S1. So that's here, 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 here. Did they even like look at his MRI? They just kind of close their eyes and say, yeah, that's the normal spots. So we're looking from the front right now. We're looking through his belly. You know that because of the vertebra, how the vertebral body is facing. Now we're starting to go, there's the spinal canal. I can see the nerves and I can hardly see the nerves. The vertebral body is starting to, the lamina is starting to come around. All right, I gotta come back to this. Gotta go get ready for my day. Okay, cool. Hi, welcome back. Driving in today, I was like, you know what? I need to do a better job describing like, what are you actually looking at? So I have this resource that I absolutely love. Here it is. I will link it in the description below. Here's how to read an MRI. So first, none of this matters too much, but let's just cover the basics. This is the spinal cord right here. These are the vertebrae. These are the discs between. So you can see like the fluid in the disc. You can see how much protrusion is into the spinal cord. So counting down, sacrum is right here. It's that angle. L5, L4, L3, L2, L1. And this is T12. T means thoracic, L means lumbar. So if low back, we care about L, low back, lumbar. Majority of people are going to have issues at L5, S1, L4, L5. Now this is a cross section that's looking through. MRIs just take tons of tiny pictures to like layering a cake or layering an onion, and it builds this whole picture that you can scrub through each layer of that onion or each layer of that cake. This is now looking through the side. There's ones that look through the front, which you just looked at. There's ones that look top down, which you'll look at the end. Here we're looking at the normal central canal. Here is severe spinal stenosis. Spinal stenosis is just, stenosis means it's narrowing. You can see here that is causing more and more narrowing of the spinal canal, which is putting pressure on the spinal cord. And this person will feel symptoms with any sort of movement that exaggerates that. For stenosis, it's typically extension, pain 101, like injury 101. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. Your body responds by sending chemicals that say, make this red, make this bloody. Inflame this area. Keep stressing it. Why does it keep getting red? Well, because you keep scratching it. Why is it still red? Well, you keep scratching it. What you need to do is learn to scratch. Use your hips, your core, your back, your shoulders. Use all those muscles so you can still stress your body, but it's much more diffuse across a larger surface area, so it can take a lot more stress, and then the original injury can start to heal because your body can heal. It heals all the time. It's just you, at the rate with which you're using it, you're breaking it down faster than it can heal. That doesn't mean stop doing something. That just means do something better. Axial views. So we're looking, cutting down, 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 down. What you're starting to see here, this is where it gets a little complicated. You'll see on this guy, we'll do a little test at the end to see what you've learned, a little callback to this. Front, back, spinous process, vertebral body. So you see this right here? How this is not a very nice circle. It's a little bit of whoop. Starting a tiny bit of herniation into the central canal, more so on the right side. So he's going to have symptoms on the right side because there's a bit of a herniation into the central canal, as well as closing, which you'll see soon, closing this foramina a tiny bit. A little bit more severe. You see that? It's going to be a lot more intense. Spinal stenosis. This is what I care about for this video. I'm suspecting stenosis based on his subjective, what he's saying when it hurts. We follow the functional movement because that tells us like what the diagnosis likely is. Disc is a flexion injury. Stenosis is an extension injury. So leaning backwards versus leaning forwards. Here is the normal central canal. Nice foramina, nice foramina, nice canal. Here's severe spinal stenosis. There is a lot of inflammation from the ligament. There's a lot of inflammation from the facet, but there's no disc herniation, so that's good. But it's severe because he just lives an extension. It's closing the central canal here, closing the neuroforamina just a tiny bit. How do we know that? Spinal stenosis is, I love this, this is a great PDF. Spinal stenosis is a combination of disc herniation, so you've seen this. This is a disc herniation with thickening of the ligament flavum. So the flavum is the ligament that kind of supports your spinal cord. That can thicken when it's just things thicken when they're stressed. Just like you develop calluses on your skin because you use that part of your skin a lot. Ligaments the same way. It's getting used a lot, it's getting pulled a lot. Your body's then told, oh, build up this ligament because you keep using it. That's the thickening of it. A tiny bit of facet arthritis. Normal's blue, arthritis, more inflammation, more fluid, white, see? White, more opaque, means more inflammation there, more fluid, more arthritis. A little bit here, that can protrude into the foramina just a tiny bit. And that's just a quick, very quick and dirty breakdown of how to quickly read MRIs, because I did a terrible job explaining it in the beginning. I want to say this here, like, this is a good time to say it. MRIs are not a death sentence. It's just a little snapshot into what your back looks like, but there's so many people that have terrible MRIs that don't have pain. We know that because we study people that are healthy, they're asymptomatic, they don't have pain. We take MRIs of them, and it looks like this. Your body's so much more robust than this. My least favorite part about MRIs is you see it, and you can't unsee it. It creates such a strong memory that you're now associating pain with what this looks like. That's a big story. That story is associated with movement, with exercise, with doing things. Problem is, it's a story that you cannot unsee. It's really hard to watch a movie and say, I can't not see that anymore. It's ingrained in my memory. I'm always going to remember that movie. That was terrifying. And that doesn't have to be true. My job as a PT, your PT's job, chiropractor, massage therapist, personal trainer, I don't really care, just get healthy, start moving your body, is to help you get more comfortable using your body in activities that you want to be able to do. So your body's not fragile. Do you ever just think about how, I don't know, all this access to healthcare that we have is amazing. Not complaining about it. Like, the more information we get, is it a detriment? Identify exactly what the problem is. We get surgery, and then we still have the problem. It sounds crazy because it's just like we live in such a black and white world, but pain is not black and white. I'm really overexposed. Okay, so we looked at the sections cutting from the front to the back. Now we're going to look at from the side. And you just got a quick lesson on how to read an MRI. Hopefully that made sense. So what we're looking at here, you can maybe guess. Can you guess? What do you see? What do you see? Sacrum, L5, L4, L3, L2, L1. What do you see at L4, L5? This is the plane that we look at disc herniations with. Now, can we see the nerves that well? No, because you see where this is a T1, this looks more at bones, but you can still see the structure of the discs. Now, for me as a physical therapist, I'm really just curious about, like, how are things stacked? And is your subjective, like what you're feeling, how you're working, matching this objective data? So we can see a little bit of a disc protrusion, a disc bulge, they'd call it. Let's measure it. Very small, minimal, L3, L4, L5, S1. I think what I care most about is if we look at this angle from here to here to here, that's a pretty strong angle. I'd rather it be a little more gradual. There is a very, very straight thoracic spine. So up here, there should be a little bit more of a curve going into this curve, but his is just very flat, like what we call military posture. So we're going down. Again, we won't look at the nerves too much. This is just looking at structure. There's a little bit of irritation in that area. That facet joint, a little bit in that foramina, I'm guessing. So that's L4, L5, L3, L4 as well. Just for your knowledge, this is a hip flexor called your psoas. So you see how that muscle can pull it forward. If that muscle's really tight, it's going to pull it in that direction because the muscle runs in this direction. So it's going to pull you into more of that arched posture, which is classic in stenosis. But honestly, this is a pretty healthy back. Doesn't look like it, right? But for a 60-year-old, this is pretty healthy. His disc height is pretty good. I'm not a radiologist. I do not look at MRIs for a living. I look at them to look at structure. So do not listen to me when I'm saying that this doesn't look that bad. It could look terrible. For my eyes, it doesn't look terrible. But I'm pretty aggressive when I treat these types of cases. Let's look at the T2 now. So T2, we're going to look a little bit more at the water, the liquid. So nerves are going to be whiter. So you can see those protrusions a little bit more pronounced with the contrast. A little bit more at L4, L5, L3, L4. So I don't know why he got injections at L5, S1. I have no idea. L3, L4 looks way worse than L5, S1. So as we go, see those foramina? This is okay. This is cool. I mean, patient, I'm sorry, but this is cool for you to see. Foramina. See how clear that is? See how not clear that is? This just should be a pretty nice circle, and this isn't that nice of a circle. It looks like he has a little bit of scoliosis too. And I'd say functional scoliosis, not structural. Structural is like what you're born with. Functional is like he's a golfer, soccer player, so he does a lot of left rotation. As a right-footed, right-handed person, a lot of left rotation. So his body's going to start to adjust to say, okay, dude, you're rotating a lot left. Why don't I keep you left rotated? That's called functional scoliosis. And I'm saying that because you can see that I can see part of his thoracic spine, but I can see a different part of his lumbar spine. We're at the exact same straight up and down selection, but I can see these spinous process prematurely versus these spinous processes, which this will likely be confirmed in the transverse cross-section. That indicates iliopsoas connects up to your spine. Let's just put a picture of it right here. Connects up to your spine, but on the side and front. So if one's more dominant and or weaker and or tighter, weak is typically tight, tight is typically weak, it's going to pull you into a certain direction because it connects on the side and the front. So it's going to pull you into an arch position and going to pull you into a slight twisting position. So it says we need to look at his hip flexors more and more and his abdominals to try to stabilize that rotation. I personally, my philosophy is let's get you stronger. Let's not stretch as much. You can fight. There's something called relative stiffness, relative flexibility. At some point, I will make a video about that. It'll be up there at some point. Who really knows? But relative stiffness, relative flexibility, I'd rather make something more stiff, stronger, in order to improve the tightness of another area. So first we looked at this cross-section. Now we just looked at this cross-section. Next, we're gonna start to look at this cross-section, which we'll really start to see how much is it herniated. Is it herniated into the central canal? Is it herniated into the foraminal canal, where the foramina goes? Or is it more stenosis? Is the ligament really hypertonic? Is it really, really, really thick? Is the facet pinching into the foramen? What is causing the pain that he feels in the back? And also, what is causing the pain that he feels in the hamstrings? Is it left side? Is it right side? All those things will be seen by the transverse cross-section. By the way, if you have any questions about like pain, please let me know, whoever's watching this. You can heal even if your back is 11 millimeters herniated. You can heal even if your central canal is largely occluded. You can heal. It's just how much are we going to learn and how much are we going to implement? I just want to throw that clarify in there because I don't want you to think that you can just think away your pain. Like there is stuff that we have to work on biomechanically. But there's another side of the coin. There's another part of the story that we need to look at if you're still struggling, especially if you've had surgery, especially if we've had a discectomy, a foraminectomy, a fusion, a laminectomy. Especially if you've had those and you still have pain, I think you can start to see that there's a lot more. There's a lot more to the story that we call pain, more than just what the MRI says. Hey, I was gonna go sit at a coffee shop. Ooh, it's dark in here. I was gonna go sit at a coffee shop and talk to you about the last part, but Oregon decided to pour. So, let's talk about it right here, right now, you and me. Crazy air. So next we're gonna look at the transverse cross section. So again, this is cutting through top down. First, I want you to see that this is the vertebral body. This is the spinous process. This is the left facet. This is the right facet. This is the central canal. That's where your spinal cord goes. And through there is your neural foramina. So let's try to look at the nerves. So there's the foramina where the nerves go through. You can see on this one there's a little bit of, maybe tiny bit of facet arthritis. See it's a little whiter there. And maybe a little bit closing more on the right facet. So we're going down. Central canal looks good. See how straight is this left side and his spinous process is to the right, so it's like 7-degree rotation. So that's indicating a little bit more of that twisting or the scoliosis that we briefly talked about. As we're going down, there's quite a bit more narrowing of the foramina on the right side. See how that's pretty nicely through. This is a little bit obstructed. But the central canal looks pretty good on this T2 MRI. Going down more. A little bit of facet arthritis. Being super clear, arthritis is, there's some stenosis. Arthritis is fine. Arth means joint, itis means inflammation. So stenosis, remember that central canal, how big it was over here? See how big that is? So we're going down, this looks like L3. See how much smaller that's getting? The disc is protruding a tiny bit. The ligament under here is protruding a tiny bit. It's thick, and the facet is protruding a bit. So it's just a lot less space on the left side, that ligament, facet, just impinging in the central canal and the foraminal canal. The central canal looks like a heart. The disc is pushing into the central canal a tiny bit. See how that, it got really circular. Now it's really triangular. The ligament is pushing into it. The disc is pushing into it. All these things are just saying his back gets used a lot when he moves. But again, I want to be really clear. He doesn't not have a bad disc herniation. It's normal for his age. So we're getting down. See how like L5S1 looks totally fine. Nice central canal. Nice foramina. Yeah. So let's look at the T1. I've enjoyed hanging out with you today. Honestly, it looks pretty good. This T1 looks pretty good to my eyes. I've said this maybe like 5 times already, hopefully. I'm a physical therapist. I am not a radiologist. I look at a lot of these things to simplify it for my patients. Take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. Hopefully you've gotten some value out of this. But take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt because I'm a physical therapist. I look at movement. I look at functional diagnoses. This is more patho-anatomical diagnoses. I care about these, but I care more about like when does it hurt when you're moving. That's fixable. That's fixable without surgery. So hopefully you learned something from the transverse cross section. Most interesting facts. He's twisted. And there is some narrowing through all 3 areas. Ligament of flavum, facet, disc. Just creating that nice little heart. Just really impinging on how much space there is for the spinal cord to move. Looks scary, sounds scary. I promise you it's not as scary as it seems. Your body's extremely resilient, extremely resilient. So again, a little bit of facet arthritis, foraminal narrowing, central canal narrowing, ligament thickening. Your body's extremely resilient. It does not need to be in the perfect position at the perfect time with the perfect margins in order to feel good. It's so resilient. This is just one part of the story. It's very scary, it's very dense, it's very deep. It's like a picture of your body. It's just one part of the story. There's so much more that goes into how your body actually works.